What's going on, guys? Babs here. Gonna give this game day drive a shot and also talk about putting, vertical dots, and ram putts. I got a message from William on YouTube about, talking about vertical dots. I think I was going a little too fast before. And so just want to slow things down for him and everybody else if possible, and give an idea of what I'm thinking, what I'm looking at, so forth and so on. Let's get this started. Not bad. Hopefully the greens are fast enough we can talk about them. We'll see. So a lot of what you'll see with vertical dots are just the way the green slopes in relation to the player and the hole. And then ram putts, as far as calculating ram putts, it sort of comes with experience. You could probably find a way to calculate it, but at the end of the day, it still would be a bit tough because you have to know how much power to add, how much aim to take off, so forth and so on. It can be kind of confusing. That's not good. Missed-dinged on the wrong side. Oh well, this might give us a good opportunity to actually talk about these dots. So right here, you can see that the dots are moving left to right. If I switch to the vertical view, you'll see that they're moving from the player to the hole. So essentially what's happening here is that the horizontal dots are moving this way, but the vertical dots are moving this way. And so you have to understand that the path of the ball is like this, prospectively. So the vertical dots are moving into the path of the ball, and they're moving into the horizontal dot, so it's actually going to break less than indicated simply because of this slope. Now there are times where you will see the vertical dots also run from the hole to the player, and that's another strategy that happens in terms of it will slow the ball down. So they can run either way, and they can also run from the ball this way, or they can run from the ball this way. So different options. Like I said, not necessarily able to calculate it because there's just too many factors involved here. But when it comes to this putt, I'm going to look at this grid section and this grid section and just compare the two when the dots finish to put it all together, so to speak, that way, because the ball still has to travel in this area. And I want to know what all is happening as it's traveling through there. So I look at my first aim, I ask myself, does that look low? And to me, it looks a little low. So I'm going to move it to the next aim number, and we'll give it a try. And that's pretty much it. That's usually the question I ask myself when I'm putting. Does this aim look low? And what I mean by that is when it comes off the club face, will it already start low on the line, and will that be bad for me? And if it will, then I make a slight adjustment and go to my next aim number and see if that'll work. Good shot there. So again, you see dots are moving right to left. I checked the vertical dots, and I think that's what I was doing when William was asking. I was going too fast, because normally this happens in my head. I'll check the vertical dots and then switch back really quick. And yeah, I was just going too fast because a lot of times I play quicker than most people. So this is kind of just a ram putt. I'm just going to pick my line and basically push it through the dots, so to speak. And when it comes to ram putts, you have to be comfortable with doing these things, mainly because one, sure, you take a lot of the breakout with the extra power, but you also have to be comfortable with the line that you choose, and two, you have to be comfortable with the negative. If I miss, can I handle the extra distance it comes to with missing, as far as making the par putt back up the hill? That could be a 6-7 foot par putt. So you know, it's about building some confidence and just slowly learning to see the line as you see it. You know, seeing the dots move and then picking a line where it looks like it'll go straight in the hole, and then I add 2 or 3% power to the ram putt, so to speak. Let's see, 10 greens. This shouldn't move all too much, but you never know. So we'll give it a shot. So this green is usually good for throwing it a little long and bringing it back, and that's typically how I'll do that. And then right here, instead of 7.7, I just, I go whole numbers. I'll put 8 minus 3, simply just to put it, and that gives me 36% power on the 15 scale. If I did 7.7 down to 8, I would still get 35.9. So I use whole numbers to kind of speed things up a bit. So here the dots are moving slightly right to left. The vertical dots are moving into the putt. And so I'll take a picture of what this indicates. So your horizontal dots are moving right to left. And the vertical dots are moving from the player this way. So they're increasing the horizontal dots, if that makes sense. And that's just the indicated thing that I'm trying to show people, is that, oftentimes these vertical dots can move from the player this way, which increases the right to left speed, or they can move from the player this way, which would lessen the amount of break you see. And that's just the slope of the green and how it happens. Of course, it doesn't always affect the putt drastically, but again, I'm gonna add 4% power to this. And that's me using experience over time, and seeing the line and how I see the dots influencing the line. And picking a line that looks good and that will handle that extra 4% of power. Don't want to aim too much here because there's a little section out there on the right side that I want to try and avoid if possible. Good shot there. And so again, you'll see I'll look at the horizontal dots, quickly look at the vertical dots. They're moving from the hole to the player, so it'll slow these dots down drastically. And so I'm getting an idea of what's happening. 6.3 down 1. I get 41% on the 15 scale. I pick a line right there, add 4%, and ram it in. And slowly you develop this experience. You develop this putting eye where you're seeing these things, and you start to understand what needs to be done to make these shots happen. And it's repetition. It's continually doing it over and over and over again so that you can get better at it. not sure what's happening there. Oh, a little long. Okay. No problem. So let's see, we got dots are moving here, right to left, then it dies, and then some more dots moving right to left here. This right here indicates the vertical dots are sloping from the hole this way, away from the player. And so that is going to increase the break that I'm seeing on the horizontal dots. And so I keep that in mind whenever I want to calculate this. So I take into consideration that these dots are moving quicker off the club face, so that's going to have an effect, but then it's going to slow down here towards the end of the putt. So I need to try and blend the two dots together if possible. And of course you're starting the putt downhill and then you're coming uphill, so that's another factor to keep in mind whenever making a putt like this. 60 scale. And it drifts. And a lot of what PGA does is drift. The putts don't necessarily break sharply like they would on Wolf Creek or Pebble Beach. They more or less drift. So you have to understand that the ball isn't just going to turn hard. It's going to slowly, gradually glide towards the hole. And it's a different style. This actually might be a really good 9-iron punch. So I like the 9-iron punch right here, just to stay away from the pitching wedge if possible. There we go. And last hole, oftentimes I'll if the wind's strong enough on this hole in a headwind, I'll hit a punch. And it's just another tool to have in your bag. A punch from the fairway is, nice to have. It cuts through the wind. It has a lower apex. Puts you in a good position to make a good shot. Not bad. I think I aimed too much. It probably wasn't the amount of aim I needed, but no problem. So again, just looking at these dots, they're barely moving. Vertical dots are not doing much either, so I'm just going to pick outside the cup. Slight misting. And there you have it. So yeah, when it comes to ram putts, just practice getting comfortable with your line, but also understanding that if you miss, you have to be comfortable with being able to make the par putt on the way back. And the vertical dots are just not too much calculating it, but to understand how the other slope of the green may affect your putt. And that way you can get better at seeing putts that don't look straight but could be straight depending on which way they're flowing. So only 2 dings, so again, a good example that you don't need the ding to shoot the score. Hope everybody enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, let me know, and I will see y'all soon. Take care.